Hello, welcome to the kitchen studio. Today I made a video for you about how to find things in the Bible. Hopefully it will make things a little bit clearer and make it a little bit easier for you to find things when we need to in the next lesson. Good luck. Remember, write down things that are on the screen, pause if you don't understand something, rewind, listen to it again, record everything in your Cornell style notes. Good luck. Hi there. You might recognise this book from the shelf in the classroom. Don't worry, when you open it, it might make some noise. So in the Bibles that we use in our class, it's a special Catholic edition. You should know there are actually lots of different versions of the Bible. We use this one. If you looked up the same reading in a different Bible, the words might be really similar, but maybe not exactly the same. When we're looking at a passage in the Bible, you need to actually look at the table of contents, which is at the start, because the Bible that we have at our school, I'll move that so you can see it a bit better, is actually made up of two books. One is the Old Testament and one is the New Testament. We probably spend most of our time looking up things in the New Testament, which is probably the back quarter of the Bible. When you look at the contents page, something you might notice if you're looking at a purple Bible is that the page numbers will go up and then they'll stop and they'll restart again from zero. Our fancy new yellow ones, so one with this cover on it, the page numbers continue, which actually makes finding things in the Bible a lot easier if somebody says what page number it's on. But just remember, if something is on a particular page in this Bible, it doesn't mean it'll be on the exact same page in a different edition of the Bible. We spend a lot of time looking for the New Testament, which basically for us starts here at the Gospels. So page 1637 is the introduction. So let's go there now. So anyway, we're looking for 1600, I think it was. Oh, look, New Testament. And it's also got these handy little ties. And there's a green one and a red one. So here we go, 1641. So this is the introduction. So this will be 1637, which is the start of the Gospels. This is most of the stuff about when Jesus was born and his life. So when we look up that kind of thing, it's in this part, which is the New Testament. And if you have a look, this part is the Old Testament. This part is the New Testament. So skipping ahead, you will notice, obviously, I've already pointed out the page numbers are up here on the inside. The name of the book is Matthew. Then you see these big numbers. These big numbers are the chapter numbers. Sometimes you'll have to look for something in, for example, Matthew chapter 2. You'll be looking for a big number. The only exception to that is if it's chapter 1, because it'll be the very first thing after the title page for that particular gospel. They probably decided not to write them for that reason. But any other time you see a big number like that, it means it's the chapter. I've zoomed in a little bit so you can see these small numbers. These small numbers are called the verses. They're so you can find particular sentences or phrases in the Bible that are significant or important. These are not chapter numbers. Some people think that this is Matthew chapter 2, chapter 2. This is actually Matthew chapter 2, verse 2. They put the number at the start of the verse. They also don't put a small number 1 because, well, if it's the first thing right after the chapter number, they hope that you'll realise that it's verse 1. You don't need to have the number there for it. So sometimes when you see things like this is a reference for Luke chapter 2, verse 1 through to verse 7. When they have the through to verse 7, it means that you stop reading at the end of verse 7. Okay, I'm looking for Matthew chapter 13, verse 24. I'm going to stop reading at verse 30. First thing I'm going to do, find the contents. Okay, now I've found the contents. I need to find out where the first page of Matthew is. So, looking for Matthew, wait till I find it. Here it is, the Gospel according to Matthew. It starts on page 1640. So I'm going to skip ahead and find that right now. Now that I've found the first page of Matthew, what I need to find is chapter 13. So that's those big numbers that I was telling you about before. We've got to flick through until we find Matthew and a big number 13 on the page. And so I'm sorry about the jazz hands for finding chapter 13, but I'm not. So I found chapter 13, that's the parable of the sower, but I'm looking for verse 24, and this obviously starts at verse 1. I can see down here, I don't know whether you can see it, is verse 15, so I need to go obviously to the next page and see what I can find. At the start of this page is verse 16, 20, 22, 23, and here we go, 24, the parable of the weeds. In these Bibles, the actual Bible part stops in these little gaps that are sort of halfway down the page, and what they have is where you can find some things that are written up here in other parts of the Bible, but we'll do a video about that some other time, and then also a little bit of explanation for what the different parts read. So the parable of the weeds starts up here, and it actually goes down here and stops there. And there you go. That's how you find something in the Bible.